We now return to the Nevertomes. Just as Peter got to the beach at his highest speed, Hook had impaled the Pixian Fae with his iron coil, a well-known vulnerability to all pixies. Being the sadistic monster we all know him to be, the bad captain outright said to Solon that he did not believe in fairies, poisoning her with a toxic Nescomp substance. Witnessing this had a grave effect on both her father and her true love. Peter's rage was at its highest apex, and in his frenzy had chopped off Hook's hand. To show his foe how bloodthirsty he was for what happened to Solon, he threw the disembodied hand into the water, just in time for the resident crocodile's dinner, giving the creature its century-spanning craving for the rest of him. A profusely bleeding Hook struggled to row back to the ship as Peter picked up the crystallized fey wings that remained after Solon's body evaporated into nothing from her death. Solon was gone. Hook and his crew were permanently trapped in the Prime Zone with a red X on all their backs. And Giles, in his unspeakable grief, started to grow cold and lifeless, his essence draining along with his tears. Memories of that horrible day were softened thanks to blue pixie dust sprinkled on him by Princess Madalena Faye Ariana Jennings-Jones of the Never Tribe, who at that time was 6 Never cycles old. This was done so that Peter would be able to continue his life of adventure and sport, as seen in the media we have all grown up with. The original play, Peter and Wendy, was created at the beginning of the 20th century by Sir James Barrie, but the presence of the cult of Solon worshippers appears to have been long before Barrie ever took ink to paper. There's no telling when Peter and Solon Fire were actually born on Earth, but there are those who believe that the cult had come long before then.
The founder of the cult, they were believed to be soothsayers or prophets. Somehow they were able to see into the future, same as Solon, but what they saw was far ghostlier.
Solon's lore was well established by the followers of this mysterious group, and their followers devoutly emulated her. Today the cult is believed to have long been shuttered. Members have either died out or were exiled when evil would manifest in their hearts. To this day, not a scrap of evidence has been found in any part of Europe to substantiate that they ever existed. However, the night this broadcast first aired, we received some new information concerning the cult of Solon through our telecenter. Giles Morgenstern's reincarnation rejoins us on our broadcast. He is none other than Jesse David Schuchard himself. Once again, we have been asked to keep his face hidden. Nevertomes has complied with his request. God must love soap operas because he modeled our lives after them. Misty's time mapping spell brought to light 3 major things. 1. Giles had a sister named Leia. 2. Leia was reborn as my sister Sophie. And 3. Leia Morgenstern's daughter was a woman named Rivka Safarceder, my great-great-great-grandmother on the Schuchard side of our family. It's hard not to brood on the oddity of the fact that, in effect, I am my own uncle, and that my sister was my own grandmother, but I try my best not to call too much attention to it.
In the Heritage Journals, we teach about what happens to it is actually plausible in this modern era of thinking. No one knows. But what we teach is souls have a temperature of sorts. Solon and Leia each were passionate beings from all accounts, but Giles's manner of death was counterintuitive of his bodily health. I was there that night when he took his last breaths. His heart grew cold and empty. He had lost the love of his life in such a brutal and traumatic way. It was only natural that his spirit would lose its vitality, and it was in dying of such a broken heart that affected the part of Jesse that would come from Giles that contained the man he once was. It was cut off from Jesse for good.
Both Silver Dart and Nicole have tried to explain it to me, and it takes so much effort to keep my own heart from growing cold and creating a continuous cycle. Giles is a part of me, but because of the manner in which he died, he is dormant in my spirit.
I mean, the part of me that lived in that time period, the experiences and memories that separate him from who I am now. I can't interact with him the way Ariella does with Solon and the way my sister does with our grandmother Leia. Giles' spirit had literally died of a broken heart, like being frozen in near absolute zero conditions. Like trying to unfreeze a skeleton. It can be done, but it's not the same as it once was. In this case, the lack of vitality means that I can't interact with him personally, but people like Henry Silva are able to bring him back. They're able to bring him back, but I'm never going to be able to directly speak to him. I would give anything to hear what he had to say. Whether I'm living up to his example, if he would have loved me as a nephew, if his spirit was still able to see.
Surprisingly, Jesse would get his wish. A recently discovered clip of Jesse under hypnosis as his counterpart Giles has come to light. In the recording, Giles has made a special message to his reincarnation/distant nephew. We have invited Jesse Schuchart back into the studio so that he can watch it live.
I remember the way that I died, and I knew that I wasn't supposed to come back. I could just feel it. I'd reconciled with that, but when that man with the high cheekbones and the pocket watch told me about all this, how I was brought up to speed, I look at the man that I am now. Apart from the fact that my body is virtually identical to his, which is very disconcerting to say the least, from what I've understood about this young man and the company that he keeps, he's given me a wonderful gift. And I want him to know that. My sister Leia lives on as his sister, so in essence, she is my sister again. I have the comfort that I do have family left in the world, that my own distant nieces and nephews play such a vital role in this, and that they are helping others. Jesse David Schuchart, you may never hear my voice again. I may never even awaken again. But if that is the case, I want you to know that I am proud of you. I am proud of you and Sophie, your brother Sandy, and your nephew Ben. I know that you will be a good uncle to him, and I know that you are a wonderful father to Joseph Scote, the one that I was blessed with. Please, I ask you that you give Nufa Chattel the love and care that I could never give her. I would have given anything to know her. You know her now as Natasha. Please, give her my love. Let her and her sister Via Hafta, Ginger Snap, know that I am proud, that my spirit does live on in all of you, and that you have made it so that I can now rest in peace. And one final thing to my dear beloved Solon Fire, the fact that you are alive again, and that some part of me is with you again. That's the greatest gift of all. I still love you, even beyond the grave. Please know that, even if you can't detect my spirit anymore. Farewell, beloved. Huh? What happened? Why am I crying? Mr. Silva, can you give me a tissue?
Yes, of course.
Upon hearing this, we Jesse's reaction.
Well, Magnus, I don't know what to say. I think the tears that I'm crying speak for themselves. I can look at myself better in the mirror now. And I promise you, Giles, I will never take my siblings for granted, or my children. I will keep fighting the good fight, and I will do it in your name. But most of all, I will make sure that your bond to Solon stays alive through my bond with AJ. That is a Pan-Schuchart pact.
Next on our broadcast, Morning Miss Jonescart, the sister of Vea Hafta Morgenstern, has unearthed evidence of her own, linking Solon Fire to the mysterious cult.
The Nevertomes will return after these messages.